Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Man's No Bull Beer Reviews. Today I have a beer from Central Waters Brewing Company out of Amherst, Wisconsin. I knew they were Wisconsin. I couldn't remember exactly the town that they're in. This beer is called Peruvian Morning. And it just says malt beverage aged in used oak bourbon barrels with coffee added. So these guys, if there was ever a brewery that made like really great stouts and big dark beers in general, and even like especially barrel aged ones consistently and had them at like a really reasonable off the shelf price, it's it seems to be a Wisconsin thing because it's these guys in Tiranino, which I don't think I've done a review of their stuff on here yet either, but maybe now that I'm thinking about it, I'll try to get some Tiranino bottles too. But like this and some of the Tiranino stuff, I think a 4-pack of this is like $12. Maybe it's even $10. I don't know, something crazy like that. So it's like $3 for a bottle of a barrel-aged coffee Imperial Stout. And I know, there's some that might be close to that, but they're not nearly as good either, at least in my opinion. Anyways, that's just my spiel on these guys. I have another beer that they did that's basically this, so it still has coffee in it, but also has cinnamon and vanilla beans. I'll be doing a review of that too, but so like I said, it's Imperial Stout, barrel-aged Imperial Stout with coffee beans. And it is 11.7 ABV, so it's pretty good. Let's crack it open and see what we got. Oh man, I can smell that right now. So as you can see, it pours a pretty dark brown color, not completely black, but close, with a small beige head that faded pretty quickly. So it's not going to be like this giant, huge, dark black, like dark tan head Imperial Stout, but that's just not. At least some of their other ones, like their Anniversary Series, are closer to that. This one isn't, but honestly, my first thought on smelling that was Bourbon County coffee, but just not as potent of an alcohol character. I don't want to say a watered down version because I'm getting almost as much coffee in barrel, but it's just not as much like ethanol aroma. But yeah, I mean there's a ton of like nice dark roasted coffee, but none of that green pepper character. There's definitely a good amount of like oaky bourbon barrel to it. Yeah, that's pretty much it, but what the hell else would you want from the aroma from the style of beer? So every time I have these, I don't want to say that I'm surprised because I always know how good they are. And I'm not saying that based on the price. I'm saying that in general, but especially based on the price. It's funny because compared to like these giant, massive, under-attenuated Imperial Stouts, people might say these are thin, but actually I think this is as thick, if not thicker, than a lot of the hyped up stouts, aside from like a few that are really like that sugary and that thick. I mean, especially by the way it poured, it didn't, it's not like straight black. It's still a little like of a brown tinge. Didn't have that dark of a head. It kind of looks like it's going to be on the milder side for an Imperial Stout, but the flavor in the body is definitely not showing that at all. That is so good. Sorry, sometimes, I kind of stopped chasing the hype stuff a year or two ago. Every now and then I get sucked in, I'll admit it, but for the most part I try not to. I just know it's good, and that's when I go after it. I mean, it might be something that other people hype up, but to me it's not the new thing. I just already had it, and I actively seek out more of it because I know it's that good. For like Voodoo, for example, or stuff from Bottle Logic, whatever. But I'm not going after like all these crazy new things that everyone's hyping up unless I try them, through somebody else, and then I really like it, then I'll do it. But I'm not. I don't buy into the hype for the most part. But this, it's just incredible how good this is. No one cares about it. I mean, you can get this. They don't distribute that much outside of Wisconsin. I think they do, I'm pretty sure they do a little bit, like in Chicago and stuff. They're not completely restricted to Wisconsin like Nuclearis is. But I know they don't distro that far. I think they might even distro into like Philadelphia, maybe. I thought I saw their stuff there. But this is like, if this was a special release and they sold this for like, I don't know, $12 for this 12 ounce, people would buy it and be like, this is the greatest thing ever. But because it's $4 or $5 and they can get it off the shelf, they're like, I don't want it. Like, it has nothing to do with the actual quality of the beer, which is so stupid. Now that I'm tasting it and smelling it, more, like, I'm getting that big dark coffee character. Definitely some of the oaky, boozy bourbon. But there's a good amount of, like, dark baker's chocolate to it, too. It's leaning towards that edge of being, like, brownie batter that some of, like, the huge giant beers are, but not quite to that level because it's not as sweet either. But this is just so incredibly balanced too, because it has all those awesome flavors. It's not super dry. Like, it's not as dry as like really thin pancakes, which I'm not knocking on that beer for being dry. I actually love the fact that it's that dry. But it's not as dry as that, but it's also not nearly as sweet as like the big name beers either. It's kind of in the middle, which is really nice. And I think this is a great beer because it still has a really nice body. It's pretty big, but it's also not cloying in any way. Like, I'm having no, I think it's obvious looking at this video, but I'm having no problem drinking this like quickly as I'm speaking. Yeah, this shit is. I mean, if there's one thing that's lacking that most people would probably complain about, it's the body. But I still have no problem with that. It's still plenty big. But you can feel it with the heat, but it doesn't taste boozy. You just feel it, and it's just an awesome beer. So I think it's pretty obvious about everything I've said, but even if this was like double the price, I would absolutely say this is a buy. But given how cheap this stuff is like $3-4 a bottle. Unbelievable. To put it in comparison to something that may be close in price, like Firebacher Sunday Morning, this blows it out of the water, in my opinion. Absolutely blows it out of the water. So that's just a comparison, I would say, for price sake. And not even to say that beer is bad, but I just think this is way more refined. So anyone who hasn't had this, absolutely seek it out. One, because it's really cheap for what it is, and two, it's not hard to get. So you won't have to, I mean, if you find some people in Wisconsin who don't have access to good haze, like, just send them some other half cans or whatever and get this beer. It's really, really great. So yeah, that's all I got on this guy. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to doing the next one. Thanks.